The Leadership and Global Understanding program was started 10 years ago at Salle University in Philadelphia. The purpose of this program is to make students more aware of the international community and promote ideas of social justice. Since its creation, LGU students have integrated classroom learning and traveling abroad. This year, Dr. Vogel led a class to learn about cross-cultural perspectives in Turkey.
Before we traveled across the Atlantic to Turkey, we focused our class time on the basics of Turkish history, economics, politics, society, and education. By working in small groups, our class was able to not only understand the essentials about Turkey, but also to build relationships amongst each other. Expectations prior to our trip ranged from those anticipating a modern European culture to those that were looking at Turkey as a country moving back towards its Islamic roots. No matter where we stood, our group was on a mission to determine Turkey's stance on modernity. After just a few hours in Istanbul, it became quite clear that understanding this stance would be far more difficult than we thought. The contrast of modern and traditional, secular and religious, and European and Middle Eastern culture was obvious in the streets of the city. Walking past developed businesses, crowded public transportation, and people wearing Western clothing, we are able to hear the call to prayer played from the minarets. The answer to the question of Turkish modernity was varied depending on the people we spoke with and their political and social views. Soon enough, our group came to realize that the answer to the question of modernity and Turkey's direction in the future was going to be just as confusing to sort out as the question itself. The more we learned, the more opportunities for uncertainty there were.
The academic portion of our trip had the biggest impact on our understanding of Turkey. During our short visit, we attended lectures and question and answer sessions at LGU University and Bosphorus University in Istanbul and St. Joseph Private French High School, a Lasallian high school in Izmir. Notable speakers at these schools included Turkish Ambassador Merhat Bilhan, who explained that Turkish foreign policy is driven by two main interests: modernization and a push for conservative ideals. He also noted that diplomacy should be Turkey's solution to international problems, not military force. Cem Toker, the chairman of the Liberal Social Democratic Party, spoke to us and brought up the issue that Islamic organizations received a lot of funding from the government, while minority organizations relied on private funds and donations. This proved the difficulty that Turkey faces while trying to present itself as a secular nation. Representatives from the Hrant Dink Foundation also came to speak to us. Hrant Dink was an Armenian journalist in Turkey who was assassinated in Istanbul in 2007. The organization talked about their projects in culture and arts, history, human rights, and democratization, and Turkish-Armenian issues, and more generally about minority issues in Turkey. At both universities and the high school, we were able to talk with Turkish students who had various opinions of the issues we were interested in learning about. This helped us gain personal social ties with local populations, even friending them on Facebook. This helped us to realize the complexity of all these issues, especially within our own age group of Turkish citizens. We also visited the American consulate in Istanbul, which seemed like a fortress on the top of a hill. We were fortunate to have Scott Frederick Kilner, the Consulate General of Istanbul, along with his staff, to speak with us for about an hour about American policies and various ties with Turkey.
All of these events wouldn't have meant half as much if not for sharing them with the Brazilians and Palestinians. We traveled throughout Istanbul and Izmir with students from Uni-LaSalle in Rio de Janeiro and Bethlehem University in Palestine, taking 3 different cultures and throwing them together into a 4th culture where nobody spoke the language was interesting, but it made the trip truly unforgettable. Sometimes the words that could not be found or spoken were more powerful than those that were heard. There are concepts that don't translate into the other languages, so at times we are forced to try and guess what someone meant. These attempts at trying to understand each other brought us much closer together than I ever would have imagined. Our broken conversations about music and school quickly turned to politics and minority rights. Our backgrounds played a major part in how we viewed these issues and gave new insights and perspectives to myself and everyone else on this trip. Some of the best conversations I had would be in my hotel room with my roommates after we had an interesting or controversial speaker. They brought new angles to the situation and helped me to form a better, well-rounded opinion. This trip truly wouldn't have been the same if we had not been traveling with the Brazilians and Palestinians, and I'm truly grateful for the time that we had together.
Through this program, we realized the importance of crossing cultural barriers and the value of experiential learning. Who knows where we'll end up next?